Well, here's the thing. What do you do with a game that isn't really a bad game on paper? It works, everything functions as intended, there aren't any crazy glitches or anything, at least not that I saw. It's fully functional, it makes a bunch of practical decisions that make sense and work pretty well. On top of that, it's a really beautiful game with a stunning art direction and level of polish that is rarely seen in other games, especially if we're talking about the Switch. What do you do when that very game gets in its own way and as a result, just isn't fun to play?
It's me,
Mario. I don't have to tell you who Mario is. Obviously, he's the main character of the best-selling Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, a gaming icon of the 21st century, and eternal rival to my Lord and Savior, Sonic the Christ Hog. For close to 2 decades, Mario has been releasing 2D platformers under the new Super Mario Bros. Branding. I mean, the games always sell well. That was never an issue. I mean, we're talking about the Mario series here. I feel like Mario could literally come into my house, bludgeon me with a crowbar, take a shit on my chest, and his next game would continue to sell over 85 bajillion copies, because most people, when they think 2D platformer, they still think of Mario. And considering that the Mario series and the Sonic series are pretty much the only 2 traditional 2D platformers that we've got left, and that most people are too big a coward to admit that the Sonic series is actually way better. But if you've been around the internet, you'll know that people were starting to get bored of both these games and the art style that Nintendo insisted on keeping around. I actually didn't mind it too much. I get the complaints of it looking kind of plasticky, but I don't know, I think Mario games are pretty visually interesting most of the time. People were wanting something new to happen to 2D Mario for a while, and just shit, man. When Wonder dropped, you'd think this game was God's gift to the Mario series. So what did Wonder do that was so great? In typical Mario fashion, we got new stages, new powers, and a few new characters to play as. 4-player co-op is still here, and now players can kind of phase into your game Dark Souls style to help you revive yourself or solve a puzzle or find a secret. It's actually pretty cool, to be honest. Other than that, I gotta praise the art direction again. They really took what fans said about the new Super Mario Bros. Games to heart and tried to shake off the cobwebs, and I think they succeeded. Character animations are improved across the board, everyone's a lot more expressive than usual. I mean, all of this has nothing to do with gameplay, but, I gotta mention it. Well, that's all the positivity I got. The biggest gameplay additions are the customizable badges and the Wonder Flowers. Let's start with those. These little guys are in every stage, and when you collect them, something crazy happens, changing up the gameplay for the next minute or so. I'm not sure how many of these effects there are in the game, but you will see them start to repeat pretty early on. And for me at least, the novelty didn't last very long because I didn't feel like the moment-to-moment platforming really ever changed all that much. They're more visually interesting than they are to play, if that makes sense. The badges let you have a special action tied to the R button. Some of them are even throwbacks to abilities from other games, like the spin jump from Galaxy or Luigi's floatier jump. The badges are a neat idea, but you can only have one at a time, and I just feel like they should have been tied to characters. There are a lot of characters in this game, and most of them are fluff. So, right off the jump, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Toad, and Toadette. All the same. They all play the same. They're essentially skins of each other. Outside of Luigi in New Super Luigi U, it's always been like this, but I would have preferred a system closer to Sonic Superstars. In that game, you've got 5 playable characters, and each one is built off Sonic as a template to be sure, but they each have their own special ability. Tails can fly, Knuckles can glide and climb and wall jump, Amy's got her hammer, so her hitbox is a little bit larger, making it easier to take out enemies, and she's got a double jump to make platforming a little bit easier. In Wonder, you just pick the character you like best because they're all the same. That is, unless Yoshi is your favorite. If Yoshi's your favorite, then fuck you. Because looking at these Yoshis, you got all these different colors, right? But they don't have any sort of different special abilities that, go with their color, kind of like what happened in Super Mario World. No, instead, all these Yoshis are the same. And if you pick Yoshi, you're essentially relegated to the baby mode. They've all got the flutter jump, they can't use power-ups, and they can't be killed normally by enemies. They're the baby mode. And lastly, you got Nabbit. I don't understand how Nabbit keeps getting invited to these things, but he's basically super duper omega baby mode. Enemies don't affect him at all, and he can't die unless he falls in a pit, just like Yoshi. So I guess he's pretty much a Super Yoshi. To solve this issue, I'd propose splitting the badges up and tying them to characters. For example, give Mario badges like his iconic triple jump from the 3D games, his wall kick, and maybe even his galaxy spin jump, all active at once. Give Luigi the floaty jump, give Peach the parachute cap, but just have her use her dress like she did in Mario 2, stuff like that. It's a small change, but I think it would breathe a lot of life into 2D Mario and make runs a little bit more interesting. I'd also just have one Yoshi, let you be able to change the color of him, and make him able to use powers and stuff like the other characters. Look, Nintendo, some people actually like Yoshi and his weird mannish hands, and they want to play as him without being called a baby. I'm just saying. Just like in past games, progression is gated by MacGuffins. In this game, Green Star, I mean Wonder Seeds. In order to beat a world, you need to have enough to unlock that world's castle and defeat the boss inside. These things don't serve any other purpose different from the green stars that we've seen in past games. They're simply progression keys. Yeah, I'm starting to think this game is just another new Super Mario Bros. Game in disguise. Like, it lost a bunch of weight and it's sexy now. On top of that, you've also got 3 star coins to collect in each level as an extra completion requirement. Oh, my bad, not star coins. Oh, how silly of me. These are flower coins, because we're in the Flower Kingdom this time around. You see, Bowser is here misusing the the Royal Seed to do evil shenanigans. Again, they serve the same purpose as they did in New Super Mario Bros., which is fine. Although I will say, you can buy some optional goodies with these flower coins like lives or standees, and that's kinda neat. Alright, so the 2 biggest additions, they just didn't light my world on fire. But I don't even think that is the biggest issue I have with this game. My biggest issue with this game is the absence of a timer, a score counter, and co-op interactions. This might be a hot take, but by not having a timer or a score in this game, I feel like Nintendo's telling me not to bother getting better at it. You can get better at anything just for the sake of it, sure, but the absence of these classic elements makes me feel like the devs are saying it doesn't matter. Take as long as you need. Fight these enemies or don't, it doesn't matter. Seriously, I get it, it's such a small thing, but it makes such a big impact for me personally. Even comparing it to the very first Super Mario Bros. Game, the timer and the score served as a really good barometer of how well you were playing. Beating stages gave you a bigger time bonus if you could do it quickly, and playing well and not taking hits meant you kept your power up the whole time, and keeping your power up meant that you got a point bonus for any other power-ups that you got in the level, increasing your score even more. You see how all these elements sort of build on top of each other to create a sort of high skill ceiling for a traditional 2D Mario game? Now, imagine a modern 2D Mario game that took this to heart and had different playable characters to race through stages with, who all had different abilities. Oh, yeah, that's just Sonic Superstars again. The game a lot of people blasted, especially since it released so close to Wonder. Amazing. The other issue is the fact that you do not affect other players in co-op anymore. No more picking each other up and throwing each other in pits because it's fucking funny. No more getting pissed because your girlfriend won't stop bouncing on your head. Nintendo said, nah, no fun allowed, and now co-op is just a sterile husk of what it once was.
What the fuck just happened?
The cluster. God.
Okay, thanks guys.
Can we learn to share?
Thank guys. I got nothing.
Well, this is
Really?
Mario.
You got nothing, really?
I'll carry it. This is Mario Wii, so there
Stop
is
literally
no
carrying
sharing.
me, Javier, please.
They also screwed up the camera. Now, a crown graphic is over the player the camera is currently following, instead of the camera being pulled out enough for everyone to just see every obstacle like in New Super Mario Bros. It's a really odd change, and I don't think it's any better than it was before. If we're trying to be more lenient on players and make games kids can get into, I think that's fine, but let's not act like Mario games aren't made for literally everyone to enjoy. In this instance, I'd like to take a page from my good buddy Rhett, who is never wrong about anything, and say give us options. Toggle that shit. Toggle for a timer. Toggle for a score. Toggle for co-op interaction. It just doesn't have to be this way. And they just make the decision for us all, and in my opinion, the game is worse for it. It all comes down to this. I would rather play New Super Mario Bros. Wii or U, or Luigi U, over Wonder. Despite all the flash, despite all the polish, all these decisions just lead to a game that is not more fun to play than the others, and that gives me zero reason to go back to it. I'm the type of player where if there's no metric for my growth or new shit to try out, what reason do I have to come back to your game? Look, the downward spiral of the new Super Mario Bros. Games is real. Mario Wonder is really just a mainstream game that shows off the true power of an amazing art direction. Because let's be real, this is new Super Mario Bros. Switch, and it's the worst one yet.